On tonight's show, we take a look at my top 5 most surprising and top 5 least surprising movies of 2011. So get your Milk Duds and Dr. Pepper, because it's movie night. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Movie Night, the show where we talk about movies of new and old. I'm your host, Justin Purser. And tonight I thought we'd take a little deviation. I didn't want us to get too far into 2012 before I did an episode like this. So first, let's take a look at my top 5 most surprising movies of 2011. Alright, so how we're going to do this is we're going to work our way up from 5 to the number 1 spot. So at number 5 is Limitless with Bradley Cooper. And I wasn't sure about this movie because the trailer it looked okay, but I was like, oh, okay, I can skip it. But it was my brother, actually, who wanted to go and see the movie. And so, being a good brother, I took him, and I actually really enjoyed myself. I really like Bradley Cooper. He's been in a lot of stuff lately with A-Team and both the Hangover films. He's got a lot of other stuff, too, that he's done in the past. And I really enjoy his work. Also, Robert De Niro is in it. And I love Robert De Niro, but sometimes he doesn't pick the right film because I think he's a lot better than some of the films he picks. In this one, he does a really good job, and I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. So at number 4 is Source Code, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Michelle Monaghan. I was really surprised that this movie was as good as it was. I was excited to see it in the first place because I love Jake Gyllenhaal and the trailer looked amazing. But the really cool part of this film, the driving force behind it, is the story. The story is really, really cool. It starts off with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and they're in a train, and it blows up, and then he wakes up in this strange room, and there's these people talking to him. There's tons of twists and turns, and I don't want to give it away, but it's a really good film. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, I really like his acting. If you haven't seen him in Brothers with Tobey Maguire and Natalie Portman, that's also a really good film, too, that he's in. At my number 3 spot is a fairly independent film titled Hesher, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Natalie Portman, and Rainn Wilson, who I all freaking love. They're amazing in their own right, but altogether it's just a beautiful mesh of beautifulness. But anyways, it's this interesting story. It follows this young boy who's lost his mother, and it's how he and his dad, who's lost, obviously, his wife, is trying to cope with this loss, tearing father and son apart. And then along comes this very interesting, unique character, Hesher, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who does a phenomenal job, like always. And he has a very unique way of working through situations. And ultimately, no matter how bizarre or gritty or intense or sometimes obscene his methods are, he's really able to help them work through this tough time. It's a really good film, actually, and I was very surprised at how much I actually enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. So taking my number 2 spot is a film that I expected to like no matter what, but it actually surprised me at how good it actually turned out to be. And that is Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. And what really got me with the story was that it's sort of like a Rocky set in the future. I mean, you really start to feel for these robots fighting, and you really start to feel a very close connection with the main bot. And then obviously there's a little boy in it that is obviously sweet, and any kid in a movie that is good, it has to be good, but anyone like that just instantly draws you in. And it's Hugh Jackman, so he was amazing, as always. And the CGI was really well done. So all in all, it was a really great film. If you haven't seen it, do see it. So taking my top spot at number 1 for most surprising movie of 2011, in my opinion, is Rise of the Planet of the Apes with James Franco. I was really surprised at how well this was. From the trailers, it just looked like a bunch of apes taking over the world, and I was thinking, oh, this looks stupid. It looks like a horrible remake. And so I did not want to see it at all. But as it came out, I started to hear really good things about it, so I wanted to see it, but I had never got a chance to until a couple weeks ago. And it really is good. It's not a remake, as I thought it in the beginning. It's actually a prequel. If you pay close attention, you can sort of tie things together into the older 2 films with Mark Wahlberg, and then I think it was Charlton Heston in the other one. But yeah, it's really great, and what's really weird is that you really feel, the main characters really are these apes, and it's weird how much you feel for them, because it's like, oh, it's an ape, that's kind of weird, but it's like, it's really cool. And one of the freakiest parts, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you. But whenever Caesar is in the arena with the guard, and I think he has the stick or something, and what happens in that scene freaked me out, and like, yeah, it was just creepy. So if you haven't seen it, go see it, and then you'll understand. If you have ever seen it, then you know what I mean. It was weird. But yeah, just everything. It was really good. James Franco did a good job. I want to see 127 Hours because I haven't seen that yet, and I like James Franco. So that's it of the top 5 most surprising movies. So on to my top 5 least surprising movies of 2011. So here we are at my top 5 least surprising movies. Now these don't generally have to be ones that I wasn't impressed with. I actually could be impressed with them, but it's just I wasn't surprised that they were that bad or that good. So yeah. At number 5 is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. In this movie, and I am ashamed now to say that when I first heard that they're going to do a 4th Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, okay, well, because they were going to do away with everyone else. They were just going to be Jack Sparrow, Barbossa. I was like, okay, well, maybe it could be okay. I've never been so disappointed, I think, in a movie, and it was my own fault that I was so disappointed because I got my hopes up. The first one was by far the best one. And I didn't mind the second and third one. There was a lot of people that really hate the second and third one, but I really actually enjoy them. But the fourth one it just shouldn't have been made. The only good thing about the fourth one was Ian McShane, and I like him because he's a great actor for the few things I've seen him in. But other than that, I thought it was Johnny Depp's worst performance in the film. And Jeffrey Rush, I enjoy him too, and he didn't do a good job. If you want to see a good film with him, go watch The King's Speech, because that's a phenomenal film. But yeah, just not surprised at all that it sucked so bad. So at the number 4 spot is The Hangover Part 2. And I knew going into this, and I knew long before it, that it was going to be a carbon copy of the first one, and I was right. I really did enjoy the first one. I thought it was a genius film, and I just enjoy the guys in it, and so I thought, no matter what, I'll enjoy it. And, it was funny. I did laugh out loud at some of the lines, but it's just not as great as the first one, and it's the exact same thing as the first one, except for in Bangkok. So taking the 3rd spot is Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol. It was really good. I was not surprised that it was as good because for the most part, all of the Mission Impossible films have been good. But this one I was really impressed with. It had a different director. It had Brad Bird, who the only other films that he had done was The Incredibles, which is the animated Pixar film. So this was his first live action film, and it was a great accomplishment for him, I would think. The action scenes were awesome. And they kept going, and I love the way it was cut too, especially some of the scenes, some of the chase scenes, and some of the action bits had just like the noise of the scene, and it didn't have some music, and I really like it when scenes do that, because for me it actually intensifies the action. So I really enjoyed it. The cinematography was great. The effects were amazing. Tom Cruise was good. I'm becoming to be a more Tom Cruise fan. I wasn't in the beginning, but I really have started to like him more. And he does all of his stunts too, so I applaud him because some of those stunts are crazy. So taking the number 2 spot is Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon. And I actually really enjoyed this movie because I went into it not expecting a great story. I went into it expecting a fireworks show and Shia LaBeouf and hot women. And that's what I got. And obviously there's a lot of comedic parts too. And it's definitely, I think, better than the second one. I enjoyed it a lot more than the second one. All 3 of them are great, fun film. The third one I actually did enjoy. The effects were amazing. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, I think is her name, way better than Megan Fox in this role. But yeah, it was a Michael Bay film. What can I say? All right, so that takes us to the number 1 spot of the least surprising films of 2011. and that goes to Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. I was not surprised that I loved this film as much as I did. I had heard amazing things about it, and I was really looking forward to seeing it. But it was great. It was amazing. Owen Wilson, I really enjoy him, and especially in this type of role, it was really cool. And Rachel McAdams is in it. But just the story in of itself is really great. And Woody Allen does an amazing job at telling the story and letting it unfold. Does it slowly. There's a lot of dialogue. As a Woody Allen film. But yeah, just everything about it was amazing. It's in Paris, and I actually went to Paris earlier this year, got that opportunity, and it was great. Everything was gorgeous, and so it was actually fun for me to watch it because I'd be pointing out things. Oh, I've been there, I've seen this, I know exactly right where they are. So that part of it was cool for me because I could relate to it. And in Paris in this movie is so beautiful, and I wish we had been able to spend more time there to see the city like this movie portrayed it. Because the movie is gorgeous, and it makes me want to move to Paris. But yeah, definitely pick it up and see it if you can. So that about does it for tonight's episode of Movie Night. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Some movies you liked in 2011, some that were surprising, some that weren't surprising. Next week, we're going to be getting back to reviewing a movie, and I actually have a special guest here also, and so we will be doing that together. So look forward to that. But until next time, I'm Justin Purser. This is Movie Night, and you keep watching movies.